This is a Hot Pie Original.
Planning is indispensable, but plans are useless. Don't fall in love with the plan, but you have to plan. You have to have some place to adjust from. So a lot of people would say, hey, we're doing all this planning for this operation and it's not going to come out like that. Yeah, I know that. You know, there's a saying in the military, once the first shot's fired, all of the great plans go straight in the trash can. You plan, and in your planning, you plan out exactly what you want to happen, but then you also have to contingency plan.
Hi, I'm Erik Korem, and this is The Blueprint. I've spent my life helping Olympic gold medalists, NFL and NCAA athletes be the best at their craft. And now I'm taking that experience and translating it into your life. This podcast is for busy professionals and household CEOs who care deeply about their family, career, and their health. There's an ocean of content to wade through, but I do the heavy lifting for you and distill cutting-edge science, leadership, and life skills into simple tactics optimized for your lifestyle and goals. Rob Lively is a retired Command Sergeant Major of a Special Mission Unit within the United States Special Operation Command at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Rob retired after 28 years of military service and now serves as the President of TRX Elite, a global leader in functional training equipment. In this episode, Rob and I discuss how to create an elite culture, balancing your ego and building remote teams. This is an amazing podcast with one of the most elite leaders I've ever come in contact with, and this conversation is full of nuggets of wisdom. So get your pen and paper ready. Hey everyone, I have one ask from you today. I've been studying the growth playbooks of the best podcast, and the number one thing to grow your show is through show reviews. This takes less than 60 seconds, and it's critical for podcasters like myself. It would mean the world to me if you could head to the Apple Podcast app and leave a review on the show. My goal is to get to 150 new reviews in the next 2 months, and with your help, I know we can do this. It's time for the It's Freaking Awesome Story of the Week, brought to you by the Festive Kitchen. Every week, we highlight the stories of people who went above and beyond and thought about someone else before themselves. Now that is freaking awesome. This week, we're featuring Chris Santacroce and Project Airtime, a nonprofit organization based in Draper, Utah that is committed to taking everyone flying, no exclusion. The founder is a 42-year-old father of two who resides in Draper, Utah. He has been a full-time paragliding professional since 1992. He flies everything from airplanes to powered and unpowered hang gliders, paragliders, paramotors, and has hundreds of skydives and base jumps. In the early 2000s, Chris suffered a life-altering spinal cord injury, resulted in him spending some time in a wheelchair. Fortunately, he made a full recovery and was left with a different view of the world. With his new perspective, Chris founded Project Airtime. Project Airtime takes everyone flying, including special needs individuals, those with brain and spinal cord injuries, individuals with illness, the elderly, and veterans. The nonprofit makes sure everyone and anyone can enjoy the experience of soaring through the air. Thank you, Chris, and all those at Project Airtime for your freaking awesome work. But before we get to my interview with Rob, I want to let you in on an exclusive and free offer just for you. Tell me if you know this story. You go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a fancy wearable device, hoping that it will help you achieve your wellness goals, and then it ends up in the sock drawer. Sound familiar? Or how about this? You follow those cookie cutter clickbait health recommendations like walking 10,000 steps a day, and all you get is anxious and demotivated when life gets in the way and you can't hit that magic number. It's time for an evolution of expectation and results, and that's where AIM-7 comes in. AIM-7 sets busy people free to live their values every day by building lifelong healthy habits. We use the health data from your Apple Watch to create small, scientific, personalized recommendations for whatever you want to do. Sleep better, increase your energy, reduce your stress, or lose some weight. If you're ready to finally unlock the power of your Apple Watch data, then go to www.aim7.com. That's AIM7.com to get early and free access to our exclusive program. AIM7 starts small, and it starts with you. Your health data, your values to get to your thriving life. But now it's time to lean in and learn from the best. Well, Rob, thank you for the show. I'm glad to have you on today.
Erik, it's a pleasure to be with you. It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in several years, but I'm glad to be with you, and I'm looking forward for the next hour.
So, Rob, you've led some really elite units in some very difficult situations and austere conditions, and as somebody that's led people for a very long time, and you've also been a part of the talent assessment process. How do you take talented individuals and turn them into elite teams?
Wow, we're going right in.
Yeah.
We joked about a potential first softball, but no, we went straight.
Let's just get after it, man.
Mid-90s. Yeah. Okay, so how do you take talented individuals and turn them into elite teams? I believe that, so you have to have systems and processes to get to recruit, select, and select this talent. So let's assume that's already in place. And I think it starts on day one. So the culture of your organization, the fabric of your organization, the common beliefs, language, and behaviors of your organization, which is essentially the culture of it, the life's blood of it, has to be stressed immediately, day one, at the point of acceptance into the organization, so that people clearly understand what they're signing up for. So what I would always do is, so our culture statement was the relentless pursuit of excellence in everything that we do. Doesn't mean we're perfect, because, and I think you've heard me speak of this before. Perfection is oftentimes an obstacle to excellence. Perfection's not really attainable in this life. So you take those people and you, from the very point of potential acceptance right before the handshake, you let them know what you're about. This is what we are. We pursue excellence every day. In our physicality, we pursue it in our competence. We pursue it in how we respect and include each other in everything. We want your finances to be good. We want you to be good community standard bearers. We want you to represent every day is an opportunity to get just a little bit more excellent, pursue a little bit more excellence. And it's not spontaneous combustion. It's water on a rock. It happens every day. It's a mindset. And we said, hey, we expect you to pursue excellence, and you have to have adaptability. You have to be trainable. You have to have desire and what I would call give a shit ability. And you have to be trusted. And are you a person of values who wants to be part of this elite organization? Because we're not going to let you in if you're not. If you don't commit to that, you can't be with us. Elite organizations will systematically remove those who are not in compliance with what that organization is about. So, I in the military, obviously we focused on it a lot, and we debated it a lot. Everyone has a different idea of what culture is. But the fact of the matter is the culture is the fabric of the organization, common beliefs, languages, and behaviors that are practiced by everyone. And that culture, the person responsible for that culture in our organization, when I achieved the leadership level, it was me. And that was the bucket of gold that I carried, and I was entrusted to safeguard and make sure that everyone understood what it was and behaved accordingly. So there's a lot of things that happen, in the personal growth and professional development of human beings as they are a part of that organization. But right before the handshake, where you say, yes, we're going to welcome you in. You literally have to make sure that they know what they are signing up for and what the expectation is, and not to perform and behave in those expectations will systematically remove you from the organization. So I did that, and it's a great tool to be able to come back later to someone when you need a counsel or mentor and say, I think we talked about this. I think that we were clear on this at one point. So let's make sure let's get our little front end alignment going and make sure that we are clear and that we understand what the expectations are that you not only owe to the organization and the people in it today, but you owe to the people who maybe started the organization or the business, the people who, gave their lives and sweat, blood, and tears to make it what it is. Like, you own that now. And we ask, we always ask people even afterwards, you will always be part of this. And so you should always represent it accordingly. And I think oftentimes people get focused on what they want and what they want to represent and forget that you're also a part of a larger, greater organization. There's a unifying bond between us all that you have, in fact, committed to be part of. And that deserves to me, tremendous more focus at the on the organization and what you've decided to be a part of than maybe what my personal is. Although personal is important, it, for the most part, does not supersede the organization.
So this starts with clearly identifying your mission, your values, maybe your guiding principles, like how you're going to behave. And like in the hiring process, you're assessing on that. And then when they come in, it's like, hey, like, this is it. Like, this is how we live. This is how we do things. And making sure that they're very clear on that. And then along the way, you're evaluating people on that. Like, when they get feedback, is it always going back to those core beliefs?
Yes, 100%. Those are the things that are the foundation. And you can't keep building on the house unless you go back once in a while and inspect and check and balance and make sure your foundation's solid and your corners are square. So, and it is an accountability tool. It's as a leader, I want to be predictable. I think probably some of the mistakes I made early on as a leader is I thought it was more about me than it was others. I'm sometimes an emotional person and don't really take into consideration the impact of the emotions of a leader and what that does or says to the people that you're leading. And so I think it's important to be predictable as a leader, and it's important for people to understand this is what their expectation is.
So being the same person every day in the building or out in the field, wherever you're at.
Yeah. The people that you're leading should be able to say, I know who that is. I know what they stand for. I know what their values are. I can predict their behavior for the most part. And because they told it to me day one, on day one, they said, this is who we are. And we as members of an organization, of an elite organization, we have a responsibility to each other to hold each other accountable. And I had people that I was in charge of would come to me and say, hey, Rob, that was a little out of character for you. Not done very well. If you mind, I'd like to, give you a little, help you out a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the word feedback. I think it's just how we help each other,
Yeah.
And just, hey, can I help you out and give you a little critique on that? And you have to have the vulnerability and the humility to be able to say, yeah, absolutely. I also am pursuing excellence every day, and help me do it. As a teammate, help me do it.
So you said you kind of an emotional guy. So when somebody would early days, somebody would be like, hey, Rob, that right there was not up to standard. Did you sometimes react emotionally? Did you have to learn how to be like, I'm going to bite my tongue and listen?
My first internal response is not a positive one. And if I can maintain it internally, then that's victory. And I can, within the first 3 seconds, if I can do that, then I can build on that emotional maturity. But of course, as a human, I did not do that well, as a younger person, and potentially occasionally don't do that well as an older person. But, I always wanted to be the strong, silent type. And at a certain point in my life, I realized, okay, I might be strong, but I'm not silent.
Hey, you got to be who you are, because there's nothing worse than trying to be an imposter, and you can be used with there's a kaleidoscope of different personalities and behaviors or types of people, and all of them are beneficial at some point, But something that I've been really thinking about a lot lately is this question: does talent need trauma? Meaning, when I was in sports, I found that the guys that were like relentless in their training and their perfecting their craft had some type of, and I don't mean like horrible trauma like abuse or whatever, but maybe it was some life circumstance that they had to fight through at a young age. And one guy I remember he's a player still in the National Football League. I coached him at Florida State, and he was from a really rough part of Miami. And I found out his first year he was super immature, like ridiculously immature, but ridiculously talented. And come to find out, I went to the guy that recruited him. He's like, listen, Eric, this is who he is. He would get on a bus every morning at like 5:30 in the morning, take a bus an hour to this private school that he got into. It was like very prestigious, train all day, take a bus an hour back, do all that. Like he knew he had to work his way out. And he eventually, because of that trauma, what he had to grind through. So I'm wondering, in your experience, do you think talent needs, maybe adversity is a better word?
Let's go with nothing's binary. When you're maybe when you're younger, things are binary, and as you see more and experience more and strive more, and maybe have more trauma in your own life, you realize nothing's binary, and every situation is different. And what can you bring to that situation or that person or that talent that's going to help them progress and grow and get better personally and professionally, as a community member, a family member, a fellow American, and obviously a talented athlete. So life's got a whole bunch of trauma for you. It's a big bucket of it, and it's just waiting for you. And you're going to get it dumped out on you from time to time. And that's just the way it is. Talent probably needs to understand trauma and build systems and strategies and mindset of resilience so that they can understand previous trauma. And that might take some professional counseling, and make themselves resilient for what is sure to be future trauma. But as a leader, you would induce stress in a training environment, but the trauma and the adversity that you're talking about is something that probably people don't do a real good job of preparing others for. And, some of your high profile, really ridiculously talented physical athletes may not do a good job of being open-minded for someone to help them prepare for trauma or build strategies of resilience so that when, father time or injury or trauma catches up with them, that they're ready to handle it. So I look at each individual. I try to have like a big leadership, some people say like your leadership tool bag. I like to say it's like a leadership van with a bunch of tools in it. Like a maintenance guy drives around when he's not sure what he's dealing with. I'm gonna go to this house and they have a bunch of problems to fix, and I'm not sure what all their problems are, but I'm gonna take a whole bunch of tools. I'm gonna be good with all my tools, and I'll have the experience and expertise to go grab some tools and go in there and do my best to fix things. I like to look at leadership capability and capacity in that way. This individual may need one thing that the other individual may not need. Maybe they came from different backgrounds. You have to know your people, and you have to spend some time like that coach did for you and said, hey, this is what you're dealing with. And that's immensely important to understand that and spend some time and thought with that, because you always have to remember, like, as a parent, my wife and I, we created two humans, and we did our earthly best to raise them as good, upstanding young ladies in the professional world, and to be good community members and parents. And when you're a leader or an influencer or a coach, you're doing a segment of that, with a human being. And so many people say people are number one priority, human being, our people are most important, but, are they? And, can you look in the mirror at every opportunity and say, yes, I am pursuing excellence in my ability to lead, counsel, coach, mentor, and develop the people in my charge, wherever they come from, whatever they look like, and align that with what they want, what their desires are, and what they're trying to accomplish in their own personal and professional life.
How did you build your leadership van of tools? Like, what are the things? What are the things you did? I mean, I know I've heard you talk about, you got to practice it every day. But like, if somebody's listening to this and like, man, I want to be a better dad, or I want to lead my team at work better. Where would you say, hey, here's a good place to start? Do you have any like favorite places for people to start?
Probably one of the most impactful, very short paragraphs that I digested that has helped me do exactly that was, I read Trx Cathy's book, the guy that started Chick-fil-A. And in there, I don't remember where it was in the book. It's not a very big book. It's a pretty easy read. He talked about opportunity, and he talked about opportunity being always around you all the time. It's passing by you. You're seeing it, or are you not seeing it? The job of a lifetime, the love of your life, your future wife. All of these things could be passing by you every day. You have to have your eyes and ears open. Where is that an opportunity? Is that something I need to stay away from? Is that an opportunity for not such good things to happen, or is that an opportunity for great things to happen? And have an open mind. I tell my daughters, I understand the use of technology, and a smartphone is extremely valuable, but to be consumed by it causes your eyes to be closed to the world around you. And I have sort of always done it, but this sort of codified it for me, where I said, that is exactly how I learn. I watch people all around me all the time. If I'm watching the President of the United States on television, or if I'm watching a staff sergeant, squad leader in the Ranger Regiment brief or maneuver his squad, or if I'm at a board meeting and I'm watching people talk about forecasts and projections, how they're leading themselves and their teams and influencing in their sphere of influence, there's lessons to be learned all around that. And I had a great platoon sergeant when I was first entered the military back in the early 90s. And he said, hey, everyone just watch me. Watch how I lead this platoon. Watch how I interact with higher level officers and senior enlisted non-commissioned officers. You'll learn some stuff that you want to take on. You'll learn some stuff you don't want to take on. And then when you get in charge, you can do it however you want to do it.
We're so grateful to the Blueprint's title sponsor, the Festive Kitchen. The zany creators of the Festive Kitchen set out to create the perfect sweet, salty, crunchy snack with just a little heat. After attempting numerous flavor combinations, they started sharing samples with family and friends who would ask, what is the name of this snack? Since there was no name, they answered, I don't know, but it's freaking awesome. Hilariously, the name stuck and a new product was born. It's a snack and it's freaking addicting. Called It's Freaking Awesome. You can order online now at shop.festivekitchen.com and itsfreakingawesome.com. Trust me, this snack tastes as cool as it sounds. Brace yourself, you'll be ordering frequently for your monthly freaking fix. The good news is they now have a freaking monthly subscription. Again, it's available online at shop.festivekitchen.com and itsfreakingawesome.com. That's ITSFREAKIN awesome.com.
He was basically saying what Trx Cathy was saying. There are examples, good and bad, all around you, and you have to watch them and learn from them, converse with them, ask questions, be Socratic, and then there's always podcasts like this and, books. And, I listen to a lot of Audible books where I can overlay all of those different learnings together. And it's just a series of gold nuggets that you capture throughout your day, and you stick them in your pocket, and you catch them in books, and you catch them on TV, and you catch them in watching others. And then some of those gold nuggets you can give away to gold nuggets for other people, as they're hopefully doing the same thing. But for me, it is a continual process and a continual focus of, if I'm going to lead, then I should be studying leadership at some level, formally and informally, every single day.
I love that. Yeah, it's like if you want to be fit, you have to train, and it doesn't have to be like ridiculous training sessions every day, but you just microdose it, right? Small little doses over time, and before you know it, like, you're a healthy individual. This makes a lot of sense. It's not like, you can't just go out and find the silver bullet of this thing. You got to put the work in. As a leader, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance?
I think that oftentimes is, that's a good question, because I've often battled, as with anyone, I have an ego, and have battled arrogance like a lot of people, which is a common thing, but also striving to be really, really confident. So to me, when I see arrogance, I see, okay, maybe that well is not as deep as it should be. Maybe that's a defense mechanism. Maybe that is, insecurity. It's how that arrogance is displayed and comes out in people. When you see someone, when you talk about confidence, they put in the work. Mm-hmm. They're very secure in who they are, what they can do, what they cannot do, and they're humble, and they are and express some and display vulnerability at certain times. I heard a guy. I was at West Point once and listened to a leadership discussion with a very successful corporate businessman. And he said, in our organization, he had a very successful financial organization on Wall Street. And he said, we want people to have an ego. Like you have an ego for a reason. An ego is a driver, you want to excel, you want to do well, you want to exceed expectations, because like that's part of your ego. I gave you these characteristics. He's just kind of counting on you to keep him in the right proportion. Yeah. And he said, any elite organization will have a lot of people with ego, but people with ego are fantastic ego sentinels. And when someone else's ego begins to turn into something larger than it should be, or a negative or destructive in that particular organization, everyone else recognizes it really quickly, because they have a daily battle going on with their own ego. And they will be the ones who squash it and say, I hear you, I respect you, but that's a little more than we're going for in our particular organization. And if you look back at, there have been some of the most talented National Football League teams you've ever seen, didn't even win their conference championship. And a lot of it has to do with the understanding of the dynamics of an organization with high performing people who have an ego. But everyone didn't band together and understand how to keep all those egos in check. So I thought the ego sentinel, excuse me, is a fantastic philosophy, and I certainly took that on and have kind of watched that, in a couple different organizations.
I like that. There's definitely, you need confidence to go stand in front of a group of people. I've made a transition in my career, from sports to now I'm running a company, and when I go pitch somebody as an investor, like, they want somebody that's confident, but they also don't want somebody that's so arrogant that they can't listen and take feedback. And, I've actually, I'll to be honest, like a couple of years ago, I'd say 4 years ago, I found myself slipping into arrogance. And I'd have these thoughts in my head. I don't know if you've ever experienced this where you think something, you're like, dude, that stinks right there. And that's not good. And you didn't maybe act on it, but just these things are coming up. And it's something in my life that I've been trying to squash. I want to be confident. But I think, in my opinion, like when you become arrogant, you cut yourself off from so much learning, because you said nothing's ever binary, right? Everything's changing. You gotta stay locked in. In the same vein of confidence and arrogance, you've worked in some really high tempo environments where it's really important to stay on your game, right? So that you can be the best for other people. But how do you balance the needs for yourself, but also in balancing the needs of your team? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Back to the confidence, arrogance. Oftentimes, I think preparedness develops a strong amount of confidence.
Can you define that?
Oftentimes, have you put in the work?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what we were talking about before. If when you talk about briefing board members, I've briefed board members when I've been really prepared, and I've briefed board members when I wasn't. And you cannot, you got to prepare. And any NFL team, we'll talk about that from Sunday to Sunday, but and that gives you the confidence to go out and do what you can do because you're prepared. You have controlled all the variables that you could possibly control in order to be successful at the capability and capacity and maybe slightly above that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance, I think, is probably camouflaging real good preparedness, and that's where it kind of becomes a little bit, a lot of bit of a negative.
I want to ask you this because this just kind of hit me like as you're talking. We would always prepare. You always have a game plan, right? You during the week, you prep. Any organization has a game plan. This is how we're going to go out and accomplish X, Y, or Z. How do you develop agile thinking? So when all of a sudden, like in football, we'd kick the ball off, and on that first series, we'd script our plays, right? The offensive coordinator would script because this is what we think is going to work. And then we watch the defense adjust. And then all of a sudden, sometimes that script works and you get that touchdown. And sometimes like 3 plays in, you're like, that ain't working because they just showed up in this. How did you develop agile thinking on your team? Because like you have a plan, you got to execute the plan. All of a sudden, oh my gosh, that is these external situations or circumstances have now changed how we're going to have to operate. How did you develop that capability?
Realizing, accepting, and understanding that first and foremost, planning is indispensable, but plans are useless. And so don't fall in love with the plan, but you have to plan, and you have to have some place to adjust from. So a lot of people would say, hey, we're doing all this planning for this operation and it's not going to come out like that. I know that, there's a saying in the military, once the first shot's fired, all of the great plans go straight in the trash can. And yes, but no. There are, you plan, and in your planning, you plan out exactly what you want to happen, but then you also have to contingency plan. Okay. Based off of what we know, based off of our experience and expertise, what do we think could happen here, there, at this particular junction of the game or the operation, and how would we react to that, and what would we do with that? And you can cover a few things, but you won't cover them all.
Mm-hmm.
And you very probably won't cover the one that's going to happen.
Right.
But the planning aspect of that is critical. And what everyone says, you train for what you know is going to happen. You educate for what you don't know is going to happen. So in that planning process, you are educating each other, not only for this particular game day or operation, but other subsequent game days and operations. So you're getting smarter. You're getting more experience. You're doing more planning. I went to Ranger School back in so long ago, I don't even want to say, but it was, the thing is, 68 or 72 days. And it was, 1 meal a day and 1 hour of sleep a day. And sometimes it was like that. Sometimes it wasn't. But it was repetitive small unit tactics and small unit operations. And before I went, a lot of people told me who had gone and said, I didn't learn that much. I just learned how to, be gritty and suck it up and throw the ruck on my back in the middle of the night and move 8 clicks in the woods in the dark, with a whole bunch of other Rangers and Ranger School candidates. And when I experienced it, I came back and said, I learned a ton because I did planning every day. And every day at some level, you are planning another mission, another small unit operation, and things are going wrong and things are going right, and people are doing the right things and the wrong things. And so you're learning about people, you're learning about leadership, and you're learning about, small unit tactics and planning. And it's happening on a daily cycle. So the reps you get, in 69, 72 days, whatever it was, is extremely valuable. And, I would fast forward that up to my senior leadership times, as an operational team leader and troop leader, small unit leader in combat. Planning was easy for me. And to be able to plan either for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days a week on a very large scale mission, or to be able to run out the door with a, scripting the operation on a 3x5 card while you're running towards a helicopter. And it was okay with me either way. And I was comfortable there either way because I had spent a lot of time educating and doing planning, and not falling in love with the plan, but falling in love with, the fundamentals and the vision and the intent of what we were trying to accomplish. And the plan is a vehicle to get you there, and the planning is a vehicle to get you there. But you can't fall in love with the plan.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. A new survey by the American Psychological Association has found that nearly half of parents say they are more stressed now than before the pandemic, and over 60% of adults in America have experienced undesired weight change, all because of stress. Is there something interfering with your happiness and impacting your mental health? Well, now is the time to take action. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally accessible. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Before I make big purchases, I always go online and read the reviews. BetterHelp posts new testimonials and reviews daily on their website. Visit betterhelp.com/blueprint. That's BetterHelp, and join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they've been recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. BetterHelp is giving a special offer for the Blueprint podcast listeners. You can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/blueprint.
We did a training mission one time when I was a team leader, and we got right up to this building. It was a training mission. It was somewhere in North Carolina. And we got right up to this building, and the leadership said, okay, the operational controllers of the training event said, okay, everyone stop. So we stopped, and we're going admin, which means we're going, to stop and turn some lights on. And they came up to us and they took all of our rifles and our pistols and our night vision goggles and all these things that we had, the tools of our trade. They took them away.
Huh.
And they said, okay, over there is a big box, and that's what you're going to use to do this mission. And there were like some foreign weapons in there and a couple rusty AK-47s, like maybe one, I think there was one or two night vision goggles, generation one from 1989 or whatever. And they said, okay, everybody get back in position. You got 5 minutes to look at this gear and figure out where to carry it and how to use it and how to change your tactics using this. And at 5 minutes, okay, we're back tactical again, go. And we did the operation. And it was incredibly valuable to take everything you were used to, and your plan completely changed because you didn't have the equipment and you couldn't do the things that you normally could do. So, as a leadership tool, whether it's, on the Wednesday of preparing for a game on Saturday or Sunday, or, in military training, it's always super valuable to keep people, to develop those skills of agility and how to not fall in love with the plan and how to react to contingencies. And you got to have a lot of repetition to do that. And it takes a lot of experience. And so it's always something that I like to see when people put in their training plans.
That is really cool. How long have you been with TRX now?
So TRX Elite was formed in October of last year.
Okay.
So TRX Elite is a strategic investment by TRX back into their government, military, first responder space, with some other partners, JAG Consulting and others. Joe Gomes, which I think you might know. Joe.
Yeah, I know Joe.
Yeah, he is a partner in this endeavor, and it's an exciting opportunity for me. As one of my side hustles in my military career was, if we're going to train really well with guns and parachutes and patrolling and all of our equipment, then we should train really well with the human chassis that carries all of that. Mm-hmm. And so one of my side hustles and initiatives was always a human performance focus when I was in special operations. And so now I was recruited and excited and honored to be considered to lead this initiative where TRX Elite can take all the capability that TRX has and others and infuse as much capability in terms of equipment and a professional digitally delivered programming to not only the most elite athletes and the most elite tactical athletes and warriors, but all the way down to the recruit who is trying to figure out how to get in shape to be successful in basic training. And all the way through that journey to the veteran who might be a little like me with some scars and some titanium holding them together and some gray in their hair, just trying to, stay in good shape and move and feel good and eliminate joint pain so you can sleep well and, all these different things. So we're trying to develop, the beauty of the brilliant, and I wish I would have thought of it, but Randy Hetrick did, and I didn't, of the single anchor point suspension trainer and the instability that causes and the total body integration vice isolation is just a fantastic centerpiece tool that we're building other suites of tools around so that we can deliver strategies to people no matter where they are in the world, no matter, if they're stuck home at COVID again, hopefully not, for, a few months or, whatever part of their journey they're in from the recruit, to the veteran. I got my first Mike Gittleson, which you might know Mike Gittleson. He,
Gittleson.
from Go Blue, University of Michigan. He sent me my first TRX back in 2007. I never had any thoughts of working for TRX or TRX Elite. And he said, "Hey, I don't know what this thing is. Some Navy SEAL came up with it, but I know you're getting ready to deploy. I've not trained anybody with it, but I think it might be pretty damn good. So take it on a deployment, give it a shot, and come back and tell me what you think." And so I just, it was one of their early programmings, a guy named Chris Frankel, and Fraser Quelch, I think.
Yeah, I know Chris.
With Randy. Yeah, they put all that together way back when, and I just robotically did everyday workout just like they had planned it, and I came back feeling good, and I was in great shape. And that suspension trainer that I got in 2007 from Mike Gittleson, I still have.
Wow.
I don't train with it anymore because it's so old, but I still keep it as as something to remind me. It's an outstanding piece of kit, and I think the ability to democratize elite training and be able to reach everyone who has goals and desires to do tough things, hard things, like in the police force and to be in the fire department and to join our military. They deserve and the ability to have access to a affordable tool that is scalable and expeditionary, very portable, with easily delivered programming over a smartphone or laptop, so that they can be successful and keep their injuries down and be successful in what they're trying to do. So not only just the special operations warriors that have all of that capability at their fingertips, like I did, and which is the way to go if you can, but all the way to that 17-year-old kid in Iowa who has to work on a farm all day and wants to join the military and doesn't know how to get in shape to do it.
I love it.
We want to help them do it.
So when did you join TRX Elite? When did that start? You said October of 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. So you joined in October of 2020. Has this, and you are currently mobile, right? Pretty cool situation. Yeah. So you said you and your wife sold your house and you've got this awesome mobile home trailer that you're pulling now that you can be anywhere. So right. So you're in Colorado right now, right?
Right. Yeah. We liquidated everything last winter and bought a 38-foot Class A luxury motorhome. It's really nice. We are not roughing it, but we do have the ability to work from anywhere, and we can go visit people along the way and see clients along the way. And so I was pretty expeditionary, for decades as a special operations soldier. And this is just kind of the same thing. For my wife, I have to give her some credit on her adaptability and to put up with some of my crazy ideas.
I think she's been adapting for quite a while. Don't you think?
I have a feeling it's going to cost me a really nice house here in about 3 or 4 years.
That's okay. The reason I bring all this up is because, you're the president of this part of the organization, and you are mobile yourself. This thing was spun up during the pandemic. How have you led a dispersed team? How did you get to know people? I don't know all the details. I haven't asked you about this, but over Zoom calls and create culture or connectivity over, because that's something I struggle with. And I'm sure there's a lot of people now as we move to dispersed work environments. How did you do that? Or how are you doing it?
I think to your question, I think people put too much focus on that it's difficult to do virtually.
Okay.
I think that's what you have. And if that's what you have, then that's what you use.
Okay.
And I learned this lesson from General Retired Stanley McChrystal back in before anyone knew who he was. He was a lieutenant colonel in the battalion commander, 2nd Ranger Battalion. And there was a joint readiness training center down in Arkansas and or Louisiana, I can't remember. And obviously you're fighting against, an opposition force. It's training. You're not shooting real bullets at each other. So you're shooting what was called then Miles gear. And it's a laser, and you wear a halo and something on your helmet and shooting blanks at each other. But these lasers are going out. And if they hit your sensors, you start beep, you just get long beep and you're dead or wounded or whatever your casualty card in your pocket that you were issued. You open the envelope and you say, okay, I've been shot in the leg. A medic has to come over and say, okay, he's been shot in the leg. And then they treat you based off what that fake injury is. And operational controllers are grading all of this. And so we were spending so much time shooting lasers at each other and trying to get really good at shooting lasers, and we weren't shooting real bullets. And, as a young squad leader, I was very much against that. I was like, we're not training for combat, we're training for training. And General McChrystal got a bunch of us squad leaders together and said, hey, look, guys, this is only going to be effective if you get behind and support me. And I need you to do that. This is the only war we have right now. And we may develop a couple of bad habits here and there in using simulation, but we're going to develop a tremendous amount of capability that is transferable. And this is the war we have. So I fast forward that into, this is what we have. This is what we've chosen at some point, and this is what we've been forced to use at other points. And I have someone's face on a laptop that to me is them and their face. I want to see it. I don't like when people don't use the camera. Mm-hmm. I make guys use the camera. We have interaction. The expectations are the same. There's a saying in the military, in the Army, where they said, the conditions may change, but the standards remain the same. And that's what it is. Now, do you need to connect as humans? Probably 3 or 4 times a year, 100%. You can be very effective digitally and remotely, but human beings need to be with those human beings to build that team. You will never build the team you want to build strictly over a computer. Mm-hmm. You can build some relationships, and you can build understanding, and you can function pretty well depending on what you're trying to do. But at a certain junction, every probably quarter. For me, it's kind of quarterly. That you're gonna have to spend some money, fly people or whatever, but get people together in the same room so they can talk and laugh, break bread together, maybe have a beer or two, and really, really build. And that'll catapult you and progress you in immeasurable ways that the digital will simply just sustain. You can grow a little bit, but it'll sustain it. But in the military, we were responsible for a task force throughout multiple continents. So there were people that I was in charge of that I hadn't talked to and hadn't physically seen in 6 or 8 months, maybe even a year. So this has been this is nothing new for me and the community that I came from. But I think a lot of times people, they want to try to make it. It's probably more similar than it is dissimilar. And a lot of folks want to make it, well, it's really hard everything's hard a little bit. It's hard in person too.
No question, because you get even more of that human factor that comes into the equation. We're going to take a break for just a moment to talk about how you can get exclusive content designed for high performers just like you. If you're looking for information and resources to improve your health, well-being, and performance, then sign up for my free high performance newsletter, Adaptation. Just go to www.erikkorem.com and sign up now. This newsletter is my effort to bring zero cost, high performance resources and tools to anyone with the desire to improve. Now, back to the show. That's really good advice. That was almost just for me. So I hope other people could get something out of that, because it's something I think about a lot as I'm developing a team. And I have some of these people I've never met face to face, and I thrive in a team environment. And so it's something that I've personally been processing, and I just wanted to seek your wisdom on that during this call. I may have to follow up with you later on this. So I'll
interject there if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just in analog, a guy named Brent Leffel is part of Equity 38. He's the CEO of the greater TRX. And I knew him for probably almost a year, and but only virtually. Never met him in person. So I flew out to California to Newport Beach, and I met him for the first time, and we embraced like old friends, although we never met in person. And he was like, "You look exactly the way you look on my laptop." And I said, "You look exactly the way you look on my laptop." And it was amazing how much just over some phone calls and some Zoom calls and what have you, that we had built a relationship that just by that one embrace, it solidified it and moved it into greater areas. But you can focus on what's different or hard about it, or you can follow the example of Stanley McChrystal and say, hey, this is the war we have. This is the method we have, and we're going to maximize it. Back to the pursuit of excellence. Like, you can be excellent everywhere. You can pursue excellence everywhere. So get really good at, these video calls. Get really good at, talking to people and leading people in this new environment, because that's what you have. And you don't want to miss opportunities because you're focusing too much on the difficulty or the constraints of, this type of leadership.
I love it, man. Every time I'm around you or hear you speak, I get better. And I appreciate your wisdom. I did send you a couple questions that we always ask on this show. And the first one is what does high performance mean to you?
I'm going to cheat a little bit because I wrote down some answers.
Hey, you prepared. I think we've talked about that already. Yeah.
That's right. I'm prepared. So I wrote this morning over a cup of coffee. How do I define high performance? To me, the result of very specific and focused intentional efforts to perform or be at my best as a result of controlling all of the variables and conditions that are within my control. The cumulative effect of daily system strategies, discipline, and committed effort.
Dude, that's a creedus. I'm going to have to get that. I'm going to have to get that written down because that was legit right there.
Was it?
Yeah. That was legit. No, I wouldn't expect anything less from you besides that. That was amazing. And it really encompasses who you are and what you've been through. So what habits or practices have you adopted so that you can consistently perform at your best?
Okay. I'm going to go right back to my sheet of paper that I did this morning. I prioritize the physical because for me, that is the vehicle that carries everything else. I have a significant amount of moderate TBI from concussions and overpressure blasts from explosions and bombs and so forth. And so I focus on the physical because I struggle cognitively if I don't sleep well. I struggle cognitively if my nutrition and my supplementation is not done well. And so I find that I focus there so that everything else is manageable at best, at a minimum manageable, and at best, I can pursue, a better version of me every day. So, I've got, I don't like to say, like when people say, when people get out and they get a disability rating from the Veterans Administration, they say, well, okay, well, you're a disabled veteran or whatever, at whatever percentage that might be. And I don't like that term. I think it's, I think in tough jobs, like soldiering, like the National Football League or what have you, you sustain occupational damage. Mm-hmm. So I am damaged. I am not disabled. I am damaged. I've got some titanium holding me together. I've had a few things rebuilt. My gray matter requires a little more effort and a little more care so that it functions well throughout the day. And I want to make sure that, I do everything I can so that there's not any early onset of Alzheimer's or those things that come, when you have some moderate to severe TBI. So and I used to do everything on a dashboard. I've had Fitbits and Oura Rings, and I understand you might know something about some of these wearables.
Yeah.
And I've kind of my life on a dashboard. And what that did was it taught me about the things I should do. And it helped me refine my systems and strategies so that I could then do them without the wearables and feel what I want to feel and how I want to be, when I do those systems and strategies. So I'm about due to dashboard myself again and do another check and balance, double check and see kind of where I am. But I did get tired of living my life on a dashboard, all those different things. When I'm not, I'm not training for the Olympics, I'm not, and it has been an education for me to learn more about my own body, and so that I can manage that well. But yeah, I just, those systems and strategies for me start with the physical, and that facilitates the cognitive and the emotional and the spiritual. And, I find myself getting very short-tempered, when I'm not caring for, my sleep. The value of sleep, Mark Verstegen used to say, sleep's the magic pill. And I had a mental health professional at my old unit who used to say, if I can track divorces and alcoholism and people getting in trouble, I can track it all the way back to when they stopped being able to sleep. And, for whatever external factors caused that, and so sleep is unbelievably valuable, cannot be overestimated. And I focus strongly on the ability to sleep and regenerate and recover over a 7 or 8 hour period so that I can do everything else, at the level I want to do it.
That's awesome. Is there anything you're doing right now to invest in your personal growth? Are there books you're reading or things you're learning about?
So I think, the way I best explain that is, I'm in a season right now. So you have priorities. A lot of people talk about work-life balance. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in priorities. And you rack and stack your priorities on a relatively daily basis. They may change. Other things may happen. Life may happen. Conditions may change where it re-racks your priorities. So other things become more important today than maybe they weren't yesterday. So last year, I was relatively unemployed for about 6-7 months of the year. Well, actually about 4 or 5 months of the year. And I knew that I was going to begin a sprint in building a business, building the TRX Elite business for all of TRX and the partners. And so I knew that I probably would have minimal time to invest in myself in 2021. So I did a lot in 2020. So that's why I'm talking about seasonal. I prepared for this season. So I was doing master classes. I was reading books. I was spending a lot of time in thought. I was journaling. I was walking in the woods a lot, and I was putting together, okay, how am I going to do this? What's my strategy? What are my personal strategies? Who are those people who have done something like this before? And I want to, I listened to Howard Schultz masterclass. It was really good. And so I invested as a priority then, because I knew that my investment in myself would be less of a priority this year, and I would be investing in those around me and the business. So I am in the season now, and I think that will sustain throughout the year. I'll maybe get a little more regularity in 2022 as we built systems and strategies to help us, move through the water smoothly without splashing so much. So, but I still, I'm always still grabbing the, like I talked about earlier, there's still always nuggets all around you. You can see them and grab them and talk to people. And sometimes you just got to stop the noise and listen to someone. And that has been, one of the ways I'm investing in myself. But another way is when you invest in others, like we're doing here today, you're investing in yourself. And so just the questions you ask me, the 3 questions you told me you were probably going to ask me, it brought a little bit of my own personal growth and development today. So I wrap that all up to say this is not the season for me to focus on my own personal growth. This is the season for me to sort of sustain that and invest in others, and then kind of regroup that in 2022 and probably start investing in myself and others a little more as we develop the business.
I love the wisdom here. This is really good. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. How can people support TRX Elite and support you? Where can they find you guys?
So we are part of TRX.
You're right.
So anywhere you see TRX, there's some fabric of TRX Elite there. And if you go on the TRX website, you'll see the TRX Elite landing page. And we're getting ready to come out with some really, really good programming and promotion. So I would say the TRX, social medias. I'm on LinkedIn, and I enjoy talking about, I have to be careful. I don't want to appear salesy on LinkedIn.
Sure.
I just want to share the good things that we're doing and how we're trying to help people. So I'm on LinkedIn, and then I think in the very near future, in probably weeks, we're going to do some really big, launch some really big campaigns to invest in our law enforcement, fire service, first responders, and military, but the TRX Elite landing page, and we have ID Me there, so all service members and first responders can get 20% off purchases.
Oh, great!
On the TRX e-commerce site, but TRX just built, and we're putting specific programming inside of the TRX Training Club, which is a digital coaching platform. We're just finishing up an Army combat fitness test, so you can literally take a TRX suspension trainer and a strength band, and go through a 12-week program. And I will, unless you're just morbidly out of shape, I can assure you that you will pass your Army combat fitness test by completing that 12-week program. So we're about to launch that, so that help the Army with some of the struggles in training and people being able to train themselves and being able to train those that they're in charge of. So we just want to offer some solutions and strategies to support service members and the strength and conditioning coaches that also support that community.
That is awesome. Rob, you are a great American and a great human being, and I'm just so thankful that you came on today. And I'm just looking forward to continue to foster a relationship with you and support you in all your endeavors and in TRX Elite. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric. It's been a pleasure.
If today's podcast enriched your life in any way, please support The Blueprint by sharing this podcast with someone you think could benefit from today's conversation. Also, please consider checking out the Festive Kitchen's amazing product. It's freaking awesome. It makes for a fantastic gift for a colleague, a friend, or a loved one, or as a freaking fun snack when you want something sweet and savory to tantalize your taste buds.
Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home on the web at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.